Hello, everybody. My guest today is Nate Bolt. He's the founder of Ethnio, a 5-person SaaS company. He's the former research manager at Facebook and Instagram. And as the CEO of Bolt and Peters and faculty at the SVA IXD program, we'll jump more into that in a second. He's also the co-author of Remote Research and once joined the NYPL. Based in LA with his wife, son, and 2 dogs. Nate, are you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah.
All right, break down those big acronyms for us. What does faculty at the SVA IXD program mean?
Oh, yeah. It's a design graduate degree at School of Visual Arts in New York. So they do a lot of research as part of their, kind of degree, and they bring in different industry researchers to help teach some of their graduate courses. It's been years since I did that, but it's a cool program.
Very cool. And then just peel back the onion a little bit. Give us a glimpse into what you're doing as research manager at Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, that was helping to manage, these smaller teams of experienced researchers or design researchers. They're on the product teams along with designers, researchers, data scientists, engineers, and their job is to put a little bit of a human face, bring some empathy into that product design process where you have mountains of data, you've got metrics galore, but sometimes, you need to travel to a different culture, different country, or at least do remote research to get a human face on these interactions, put some why behind these what trends that you see in the data.
Yeah. This sounds very, we just had the CEO of user testing on the show, and
Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl. Yeah. He was great. And, he came on and shared numbers, they're hoping for 40% year over year growth this year. And, their numbers, they're cranking it. He also said human. And my question to him was like, you've got full story taking off, you got like Hotjar taking off, kind of data oriented. How are you differentiating from those kind of platforms?
It's such a good question. And, the field of human computer interaction, HCI, that sort of comes from cognitive science. The basic concept is that forever, as long as there's been an interface, there's been people that have trying to automate the process of understanding how it's used. Back to even the military in the 70s developing, pilot interfaces on airplanes. The idea is like, man, can't we just use computers to generate patterns and trends and data on how the actual humans are using these computers? And if you're talking about computers watching people use computers, there's a problem there. And a lot of these tools like Hotjar and even user testing to a certain extent, although they're very human focused, they're automating that feedback loop, and you need to have humans watching humans use computers to really complete the design process. Most, product designer these days, it's a funny pendulum swing year to year, but a lot of product designers now get that qualitative insight is a key part of the product development lifecycle. It's just too easy to say like, just farm it out. We got analytics. What do we need humans for? It's not like we're actually building for them.
Yeah. Well, so walk me through how you're actually solving this, right? So how does the product work?
Yeah, in Ethnio's case, we're very niche. We're targeting professional UX researchers, teams of like 2 or more. That's Ethnio. It's the logistics that come into play at scale. If you and I just need to watch somebody use our kind of early stage SaaS, it's pretty easy to do that. We can grab somebody at a coffee shop. We can even get family. There's not really a logistical challenge around small scale, one-on-one human observation. But when you're talking about 50 researchers, 75 countries, 30 studies, 22 product teams, all of a sudden the challenges in finding the right participants, scheduling them, paying them, tracking them, storing them, they magnify. And you're talking about the age-old SaaS competitor of spreadsheets.
Yep.
Just spreadsheets on spreadsheets on spreadsheets. So that's really our thing.
So I have my own product. I'm working at Intuit. We're launching a new app. I want to target based off like device, browser, location, operating system, something like that, maybe purchase history. I launch a survey inside of Intuit so that I know that I'm getting my users who already know Intuit to take this kind of user testing. So you get their contact information. I'm the Intuit employee. What do I do? Do I set up a Skype call and they screen share and I watch them use the app? Like, how is it actually done?
Yeah, that's exactly right. But there's a key point there that's a little bit different. And that's for a company like Intuit, who's had over the years like 45 different, Ethnio integrations. They pass the variables to an Ethnio screener. Screeners just are like word for survey. It's the same thing. But functionally, instead of it being about aggregate data, they can pass all those things that you just said to our intercept. But the thing is, when you're internally using a survey tool, like let's just say Qualtrics or 4C or these tools that are designed for aggregate data, there's all these little things that don't work the same way when you're talking about getting a real human for one-on-one research. So they implement Ethnio JavaScript or like iOS or Android, whatever. they're passing all that stuff straight to Ethniel because their researchers can go in and modify that stuff dynamically, like on the fly. You get two people using QuickBooks and you're like, oh, we should have asked about their, XYZ criteria that we forgot. So they can dynamically modify the screener, modify the targeting, and then their next participant, let's assume it's a remote session in Zoom or Skype or, all those tools, it's up to each research team for the testing, but they can modify the criteria in Ethniel really quickly. That's kind of our game. That's
I see. Okay, talk to me about pricing. So I'm sure you have a bunch of cohorts, but I don't want to go down every kind of use case story. What's the average customer pay you per month, would you say?
Most of our customers at this point are enterprise. So our license, they range from, on the enterprise side. Well, let's start with self-service. You see it. It's on the pricing page. It's like you can do a self-service for like $79-$80 a month.
Yep.
The enterprise stuff, this game. It's like all over the map.
Give me like the minimum though, typically.
Yeah, the minimum is like, I don't know, 8 or 10K a year.
Cool.
And then on up from there, depending on the size of the team.
Yep. 10 grand might just be like the minimum features, a very, very small team. Jump in, try it out. Yeah. And just to be clear, that's more reflective of your average than an $80 a month price point.
Yeah, it is, because I think the value proposition for Ethniel is more centered on larger teams at this point. It's evolved over the years.
Yeah. Put all this on a timeline for me. When did you launch?
So side project starting in 2006. We had a research agency, and this was like
this is Bolt Peters.
What's that?
This is Bolt Peters.
Yeah. Right. That's right. Yeah. So in SF, doing the kind of consulting thing, we realized there was a need just for us, that kind of thing. So side project from 2006 to 2014. And then it was really, when I left Facebook in 2014, it was like to work on Ethniel full time. So it's been, 3 or 4 years of like full time focus. And now we're, 5 or 6 people and bootstrapped, continuing to grow that way.
That's great. So you've decided to kind of stay bootstrapped, which I love. What have you scaled to in terms of total customers without raising capital?
Yeah. So we're like, 150 paying customers a month, but some of those have 80 or 100 accounts, seats. So there can be pretty large teams.
Yep.
And then something like 2,000 accounts across the freemium spectrum.
Yep. No, that's great. So can I kind of back into this, right? If you've got 150 kind of in your enterprise cohort at 10 grand a year, that means you're doing what? Just in that segment north of 125 grand a month, something like that?
So that's exactly right, man. That's pretty good.
Cool. And that, just to be clear, that doesn't count yourself. You have more revenue than that because there's some self-serve stuff.
That's right. But that's a pretty small percentage and shrinking of our total revenue. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you're definitely moving more towards, again, higher touch, enterprise, 5-person team.
Yep, that's right.
Give me some of the growth. So where if you're at 125 grand a month today,
roughly 30% year over year. One of the things that we're seeing the biggest growth in is paying research participants internationally.
Okay.
That's a weird sort of thing that we've offered for years, and it's just been exploding recently because if you have somebody in Brazil or China, actually paying them in a way that's decent is terribly hard.
You mean like Brazil, it's like boletos or like...
Totally. Yeah. Or even China, like there's China Amazon, but there's some other stuff. And like it's hard to get those accounts. Let's say if you're in the US, you have to have a Chinese credit card to get a Chinese Amazon account. And so then to issue a Chinese Amazon gift card, you have to go through like these third-party aggregators. There's a million of them, but like Perks.com or Tango Card, and they're not really built for researchers. So that's been like a side offering for us. But just lately in the last couple of months, it's been exploding because a lot of these product companies need to handle their international participants much more carefully now. They're trying to grow and expand in all these developing countries, and just paying somebody in a country that's maybe not as popular in the roadmap of gift cards is hard.
Yep. Are you, because of your expansion activities, are you above 100% net revenue retention annually today or no?
Just barely.
Barely. Okay. Good. So your expansion is just about making up your lost revenue. Okay. And the ones that are churning, are those mostly the self-serve folks?
That's exactly right. Although, we see some enterprise churn. These teams very understandably need different tools, different teams. You know how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reason I ask is these kinds of tools I have before, seen serious seasonality where like Q1, they're doing a big test, right? And they want to like check all this stuff, or they're like on 6-month sprints, right? So every like once a month, 2 times a year, they ramp up these kinds of, paying you, and then they go away for a while. Do you see this kind of churn?
We used to see it a little bit on seasonality, but the size of the teams buffers against that a little bit.
Okay.
So once you're more than 5 researchers, like somebody's usually always actively engaging. Even if a couple people are like on that long term, we're taking a break now before we get ramped up again.
Yeah. Okay. Talk to me about getting these new customers. So a $10,000 ACV account, what are you willing to spend to acquire that customer?
We right now spend $0 on marketing and sales, and that's like it's kind of cool, but it's really stupid on my part long term. So that's an area we're looking to like get better at. We just do inbound word of mouth.
Okay.
All of our accounts, we do zero outbound, zero sales and marketing, which it's like what? But that's like dumb. I'm not proud of that in the slightest. That's a big area.
I mean, look, it's something that I always like. If people don't know the number, it's good because you haven't spent money, but it's bad because, well, how do you scale, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So of the 6 people you have right now on the team, break them down. Okay, just
4
you.
engineers and me. Yeah.
Okay, 1 salesperson, you, and then 4 engineers. Okay, so theoretically, you could take your salary plus the salesperson's salary divided by the number of new customers per year and kind of back into something.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And that's, one of our big priorities for, let's say, early next year.
Are you guys all spread out, remote locations?
Yeah. So you got it.
That's awesome. That's very good.
Yeah.
What do you, so as you do start launching some paid experiments, how do you think about setting up the framework for a good experiment and the decision tree that you'll use at the end to determine whether to, do that more or less?
Well, for me, when I'm looking at all the types of marketing and sales initiatives we can do, I keep landing on, because people do content marketing, they do different kinds of spending on sales and acquisition. In our weird niche space, because we're not even like, let's say user testing is in the much more broad arena of like consumer research. So they get tons of different types of customers using it. We're literally professional UX researchers are like 75% of our customer base. So how do we build and, market to those people who have incredibly specific needs? I actually think we're going to build a spin-off brand just to offer value to them as like a way of doing functional marketing. I know it's a bit weird as like a growth strategy.
You mean like professional services stuff?
Yeah.
Nothing, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that if it drives up lifetime value and stickiness of the SaaS product.
Yeah. And I think Ethnio is a bit locked into this professional only arena, and it also allows us to target more people.
Yep. Okay. So Bootstrap today, thinking about raising capital or no?
No, would prefer not to. I think, when you see these buffer articles and there's like this funny trend of buybacks happening right now, either for real or fake outs. And I think, I'm just feeling more and more ammunition over the years to keep it bootstrapped if we can, because we're growing well. I think we're positioned very long term. I'd love to have this thing for years and years and years and add the designers and, more marketing and sales staff that we need. And it seems like we'll be able to do that bootstrap. I mean, who knows, but that's the goal.
So if Facebook goes, Nate, we want you back. We've got these other projects to work you on. What are you doing right now per month in revenue? Okay, whatever. We'll pay you, 10x, whatever your ARR is. Do you take the deal and sell or no?
Luckily, I don't think they're going to do that, so I don't have to worry about it. But I mean, I think it's just, we're in such a little niche here that we're providing value for these specific types of researchers, and we're able to keep growing, and I'm happy to do that.
Good. All right, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
Favorite business book? I mean, I guess Innovator's Dilemma. Is it cheesy to say that?
No, it's not cheesy. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
I like the buffer guy. I forget his name, but his
Joel.
Transparency is awesome. Yeah, Joel.
Yep. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building your business?
I guess right now Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. Good. Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
6 to 7.
Okay, that's pretty good. Situation, married, single, kids?
Married, 1 kid.
1 kiddo. How old are you?
He's a year old.
And how old are you?
Oh, I'm 40.
40. Okay, last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Oh, man. That's a great question. I think you don't have to stay in San Francisco quite as long as you did.
Guys, there you have it. You don't have to stay in San Fran as long as you think you need to if you want to build your own company. He's cranking along with Ethnio, again, launched in 2006 really as a side project, then did a stint at Facebook, quit Facebook full-time to go full-time into Ethnio in 2014. Still bootstrapped now, 5 or 6 people, all remote, really helping, again, with UX research and really recruiting for UX research using different things that they have built in like screeners, dynamic testing, and things of that nature. Today, doing about 125 grand per month in revenue, growing 30% year over year. So call it 90 grand a month, just about a year ago, serving about 150 customers that pay on average, call it 10 grand per year. About 100% net revenue retention annually. Again, growing at a pace that he loves, being bootstrapped. Thank you so much, Nate, for taking us to the top.
Thanks, man. Good talking to you.